Jackson!
What?
Get off your social media.
Okay, hold on. Let me just send this one last email.
Oh my god.
We're trying to do our project
Hold
right
on,
now.
I really need to email my
swear.
English teacher. Hold on.
He's obsessed.
Oh my gosh. He's gotta get off.
Okay, I'm done.
Schoolwork?
I'm
Social
done.
media. Okay. So, question number 1. Before you began your research, what was your attitude towards the subject? Explain how it changed and how your thesis statement evolved.
So before I began my research, I knew that social media had a significant impact on society, but I was unaware just how detrimental it could be. After spending time researching the subject, I've learned about the way it impacts the function of the brain and the way it shapes as teens grow and develop. Once I was more informed, I structured my thesis to emphasize the dangers of social media, but stay true to how prevalent it is in our society.
Going into this project, I knew that social media had positive and negative aspects to it. I was unaware to what extent that social media was affected by these influencing factors. So I had to do some research to further develop my thesis, and there are numerous benefits towards social media, such as staying in contact over long distances and being updated on your friends' lives real time. And it really helped change my thesis to regulate technology, because I believe that there needs to be regulation to get all of the positive effects out of social media.
Before I researched this topic, I didn't realize the negative effects social media had on society and on our brains. I was constantly on social media and didn't realize the negative effects that it was having on me. And I personally thought that social media consisted of mainly positives, and I really wasn't aware of the negative effects that it had. And while researching my topic, I concluded that the negative effects of social media greatly outweighed the positive effects. And that's how I came to my thesis statement. And then in my thesis, my call to action is limiting social media time to not let the negative effects really affect our society.
So which of the sources that you used was most helpful, and where did you find them?
So there were two sources that I used in my art or in my essay that I found were very helpful. The first was a source by Drew Hendricks, and it completely outlined the history of social media. It dated back to 550 BC, when the first postal records were sent out via horse, and it mentioned social media up until present day with Instagram and Snapchat. It was very important in generating a comparison between past and present to fully understand where social media began, so we can understand how to regulate it and move forward in the future. The other source that was very helpful was by Robin Trevod, and she was very organized in how she presented her material. She had 7 sections that very neatly outlined the negative effects that social media and technology could have on teens and their brain development. I found both of these sources on Google, and they were used in my essay.
My most helpful source was an article named Social Media Likes Impact Teens' Brains and Behavior, and it was on the Association for Psychological Science. This source conducted a study in which researchers scanned the brains of teenagers while they used social media, and they found that the most active part of the brain is the stratum called the nucleus accumbens, which is particularly sensitive during adolescence. And this information helped me break down the negative effects social media is having on the brain, since one of the most sensitive parts of the brain during adolescence is being affected by social media. I actually found this source on an article about social media on Cosmopolitan.
An article I found extremely beneficial is titled "Why Social Media is Ruining Your Self-Esteem and How to Stop It." It is from a magazine called Success, and it essentially breaks down all of the ways that social media affects the brain, provides scientific evidence to prove it, and relates to the ways that people have fluctuating self-esteems.
Oftentimes when you are presented with a research assignment, you will learn new material. So were there any new vocab terms that you encountered in doing your research, and if so, give an example and a definition.
During research, I learned about the term UGC, meaning user-generated content. And many articles explain social media in terms of user-generated content, which is essentially how many posts, how many likes, how much we put into social media feeds every day.
A new term I encountered while researching social media had to do with the brain. And as I mentioned earlier, I stated that the region of the brain that was most active while a teen is on social media is part of the stratum called the nucleus accumbens. I was not aware of this term, and I think it's really interesting how one part of the brain can be a lot more affected than other parts when it comes to your social media use.
One of the new terms that I learned was instant gratification. Instant gratification is the desire to experience pleasure or fulfillment without delay or deferment. Basically, it's when you want it and you want it now. Instant gratification is the opposite of what we've been taught and try too hard to practice, delayed gratification. The best example of instant gratification in modern day is social media. Every social media website provides some sort of instant gratification, and this is the dangerous aspect of this platform. Whenever you see a message from a friend or a new post on social media, a small amount of dopamine is released in your brain, which triggers the pleasure center, which is the addictive factor. And this is the precise reason that instant gratification and social media can be so dangerous.
So what can we do as individuals to solve problems related to this issue of social media?
It can sometimes feel impossible to solve problems related to social media because it is being used all the time everywhere we go. The way that we can begin to solve these issues is by using social media to be informative, express need for change, and to communicate effectively. We'd also encourage younger generations to limit social media use and be more self-aware and build more face-to-face relationships.
Due to the fact that social media has such a rich history, it is not going to go away anytime soon. And due to that fact, there must be a way for us to live with social media. And the way to do that is to limit our use. The key is to use moderation as a tool to regulate the amount of social media you are being exposed to daily. If you do not limit the amount of social media that you are exposing yourself to, it can have numerous consequences later on in life that you may not even be aware of.
I completely agree with Jackson. As individuals, we should limit our use on social media so the negative effects do not harm our lives. Because of the addictive nature of social media that Jackson was talking about, it is crucial that we become aware and limit the time we spend on social media. To accomplish this, the first step is to actually track how much time we spend online and set a timer to make it less and less each day. We must also evaluate the necessity of our social media presence. The average person has about 7.6 active social media accounts. Instead of having a lot of profiles, it's more beneficial to have one or two. By doing this, we may still experience the positives of social media while turning away from the negative side.
So after your experience writing this essay, how will that change the way that you approach your next research assignment?
The experience I gained writing this essay will be invaluable when I begin my next writing assignment. I now understand the importance of carefully selecting intellectual sources with substantive information. I am better developing skills that break down different argumentative aspects of each source. This is a crucial part of these essays in the future. I plan to focus on this aspect more. I also plan to focus on my time management, as that is a very crucial aspect of writing essays. This particular assignment was very long, and so I needed to adjust for future cases.
I've never written this long of an argumentative essay, and this gave me a good outline and structure of how I should go into my next argumentative essay. So next time I write an essay like this, I will go into the essay knowing my sources beforehand and knowing exactly which counter arguments and which arguments I will be presenting. And I'll also give myself more time because this took a lot of research and a lot of analysis when writing the essay.
For me personally, after doing this assignment, I feel that no matter the topic, I can approach my next research assignment with an open mind and a willingness to educate myself about the new research topic that I'm writing about. I also think that learning about social media is extremely valuable because it educates us not just about a specific topic, but it changes the way that we use social media in our everyday lives.
Thank you guys for watching.
This concludes our presentation, and we hope that the next time you are faced with all of your social media accounts, you might put it down.
Thank you.
Bye.
No, I hope your foot's on.
I hope your
Yeah, 100% is.
I hope your toes are in the shot.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, we